3, 2, 1, end of test. Keying with a go.
Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Warbird Wednesday. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum, and we are working through the second request from our viewers that we got. This is going to be the last one, but we're working through the second request, and that is the Boeing 737, the Airborne Early Warning and Control aircraft. That is the Wedgetail, which is going to be an interesting one. Now, Greg can go ahead and throw up a plan view. Did we skimp on the model? This is a teeny tiny 737. But before we do that, here I'm going to do two things at once. I'm going to toss my hat off by my Nephilim-Bata assistant. I butchered that one, but whatever. My assistant there is off screen. Kevin is with me again this week. Greg is doing the editing. Now, the 737 is obviously a very long in the tooth design. Boeing has had this aircraft around for a very long time. This aircraft, obviously, now the model I have doesn't have the newer fans on it. It's got those long early jets, and so this is an old 737, but the new version flew in 2004. The Australians were the ones that went after it. It was introduced in 2012. There are 14 of these aircraft built. Now, the interesting thing about this with Boeing is Boeing went kind of the around the horn on this one, so to speak. Good pun, Kevin. I like that. Around the horn. They normally, you see United States Air Force aircraft get third-partied, so to speak. They're either wholesaled out after their life within whatever service we have, or they're built for export. This aircraft was actually built for the Royal Australian Air Force, the Turkish Air Force, and the Republic of Korea Air Force. There's other people looking at it. Now, it is coming in to the United States Air Force. We're going to kind of finish up with that today. We're going to tell you about that. In 1986, the Australians decided that the Australians have decided that they were, and have correctly so, decided that they're getting to be in a very tough neighborhood with the Chinese, and the Chinese Navy and Air Force is expanding, and they have got to modernize. You've probably seen a lot of that in the news, everything from nuclear submarines, which we don't cover, to modernizing their Air Force. They have flown over the years many cool airplanes. Probably the one that I always thought they flew was the F-111. That was very cool, which they ended up burying all those, Kevin. We didn't get one of those, which I feel bad about that. But in 1986, they decided that they were going to go out for basically another request for proposal, an RFP. And then in 1996, that 10 years later, from 1986, they came up with Project Wedgetail. Now, Wedgetail, I always thought a Wedgetail was had something to do with this, and Greg can throw up an image again of this airplane, and this model doesn't do it justice, but there's basically a long arrayed radar and listening device strapped to the top of the airplane. The back of the aircraft has some fins. It's stabilized a little bit, relatively fast. If you think about it, the aircraft, roughly 530 miles an hour, 500 mile an hour airplane, relatively quick for modern airplanes. But Wedgetail was born, and in 1999, the contract was awarded. Now, they went back and forth on this, and there's a lot of recrimination about getting the aircraft in service. It did not get into service when it was supposed to. It didn't get into service from that 1999 kind of green light until 2012. So but we don't get into that kind of political news stuff. But this aircraft is built on a, if you want to call it a chassis or an airframe, it's a 737-700ER is what it's really based on. And so that is where I'm going to take a break, because normally what I do is I talk about aircraft that over its lifespan saved lives or did something. I'm going to talk about these aircraft and the early warning aircraft that the Australians and ultimately the United States will produce are going to probably prevent the next war. These early warning aircraft and keeping up with what's happening with the Chinese right now is extremely important. And so modernizing these aircraft and getting these aircraft into the people that need them, especially in the Pacific. If you've been following any of the news reports, the Chinese fighters have headbutted a number of our patrol aircraft out there. They do the same thing, and Greg can throw up an image of what a headbutt is, but basically flown across the front of an airliner and given them, or patrol aircraft, which is the size of an airliner, and they give them all kinds of turbulence, and that causes all kinds of grief in flight. It is not safe to do. But let's just say that the Chinese have become more and more aggressive with all of these patrol aircraft. But they are incredibly important because as the Chinese fleet expands, these are the types of airplanes that are going to be necessary to keep an eye on what they're doing out there. So the air crews, the designers, and to the Royal Australian Air Force, I gotta say, congratulations. Not only did you come up with a unique aircraft that fits your needs, but you were trendsetters, because this aircraft, as I said, is going to eventually end up in the United States Air Force in their inventory as it replaces the E-3. So, what is our toast today? Our toast is watermelon artificially flavored soda. C&C, something that I would not drink normally. Oh my goodness. This is rocket fuel. Kevin is laughing. This, by the way, this is 2 servings. Okay? 2. There's 170 calories per serving. This is a 350 calorie drink right here. There's a lot of rocket fuel in there. Quite a bit of sodium, carbohydrate. Let's see. In included sugars, the one serving is 96% of all the sugar you should have during the day. And if you drink this thing, which you would normally do, that's 190% of the servings of sugar. I don't see the Pure Cane Sugar Mafia on this. It's fairly new. It has a California Redemption thing on it, so there may not be a botulism incident. Let's go ahead and pop it. Oh, there was a little. It actually is carbonated. So I can't do an Australian accent. I just can't. But, you know, good on you, Australians. Throw another shrimp on the Barbie. You did a good job. I really think that this is an important technological step forward, and we're very lucky that the Australians kind of kept pushing this project ahead. So I salute you with 5 million spoons of sugar. This is not bad, but it's gone. There's a little of fizz, but it's clearly supposed to be carbonated, and it tastes like flat soda with about 12 pounds of sugar in it. Mandatory second sip. That was just delicious. But to the Royal Australian Air Force, we thank you. Now, it has this thing on the top, this electronic scanned array. That is called a top hat, if you can believe that. There are 8 to 10 console operators in this airplane, so similar to what our folks do. In 2014, that is when they started being deployed operationally. And one of these aircraft, now this in military aircraft is unusual, it had 100% mission success rate, which means it flew, this was in support of ISIS suppression over in the Gulf. It had 500 continuous hours on the aircraft and 36 continuous missions without being interrupted with a maintenance issue. That is unheard of, and probably why the Air Force went, hold on, we got something here, we want this, and this is going to be the aircraft that replaces, as I said, that E-3, which we just did an episode on. You can go back and look at that. The U.S. Air Force has decided they're going to buy 26 of these bad boys. They've allocated $1.2 billion within the last year, and they're saying that they want to see the aircraft in service in 2027. So you can see they're moving fairly quickly. It is a known airframe, and that probably will make production a whole bunch easier because the tooling's already done and they can just go ahead and knock these things out. But they are going to end up being in service with the United States Air Force here very soon. Now, if you want to amaze your friends, scare your enemies, and confuse people in your household, you need this puzzle. This has all the airplanes in it. I'm looking at it. This is a Eurographics kids kit, but you could make this, you could mount it, put it on a frame it in your house, really upset your wife when you start putting puzzles on the wall. You could do that. But this is actually a really cool one. I probably will build one of these. It's well within my range. It's a 5+ kit, so they went really low with me here. I can do it. But this is really neat. It's got everything from the Wright Brothers aircraft to the space shuttle. There's an F-35, F-117 on there. So go ahead and click on the link, and we will happily, Jason, who is also, he drew that 5+ on this box, will run down and send you one out from the post office immediately. Now, we can't do this without your support. We got all this fun stuff here. We have behind me the nose of Clay Lacy's 727 that actually flew the equator in the year 2000. So it was on one side, that was on the other. You're in 2000, you're in 1989. You're in 2000, you're in 1989. So we have that here with our Clay Lacy jet exhibit. You come down and take a look at that. It is a very cool in the Miles hangar. If you also want to teach the kids at home, click on the links that we have at the bottom of the page, and you can get our educator guides. They're also available on Amazon if you just don't want to wait and you want to spend a little money. Why not? You can go out on Amazon and buy those educator guides, but they are available for free on our page. If you came across us on social media and you like nothing but airplanes, single take, low production, this is what we do. We talk nothing but military aircraft, and we have that snappy intro from the Melbourne Ska Orchestra, the intro and the exit. But forward us to your friends. Give us a like, give us a comment. If you were on Facebook and you came across us, we would love to have the same thing. Give us a comment and a like. And my name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
3, 2, 1, end of test. King with a go.
Rise to the blessed day, all my fears have gone away. to be the perfect imitate